All of them was gone when crack hit the hood. It was more of them. That's just some of them. That's just some of them.
So let me ask you this.
Look, Larry's 70 years old. Larry was about 19 when he got locked up. Chief Malik Angel Bay got locked up. He got out when he was like 21, 22. He was locked back up by the time he was 25. He didn't have a chance to do shit.
I got a question.
Mm-hmm.
Where does Freeway Ricky Ross fit into the play of the political presidency of Larry Hoover, Jeffrey Ford, and Tukey Williams?
Because, well, he don't directly he is a cause of the exposing of the DEA's flooding of the drugs into the community. They had to get somebody in the community to transport, to sell the drugs in the community. Ricky Ross should have never got a day because he was getting drugs directly from an undercover DEA agent.
So you telling me that the whole situation with, you know, the Tears of Trails, or the Trail of Tears, where they pushed, you know, the indigenous people on the East Coast westward, and they gave them smallpox and killed them all off.
They didn't kill them all.
Well, they didn't kill them all, right? Exactly, because obviously, yeah. But listen to me for a second, because at that time they were importing rice and sugar to the indigenous people and trading it to them, and that could literally be a form of crack, rice and sugar.
Well, we already had rice and sugar over here. We were growing sugar cane for thousands of years. That's nothing new to us.
Right, but we didn't have white sugar.
The bleaching agent in the sugar is the toxin.
Right, that's what I'm speaking on specifically. But I'm like trying to find a parallel between the Trail of Tears and what's happening right now.
The Trail of Tears was hundreds of years prior. The Trail of Tears was to matriculate $5 Indians into indigenous tribes before they built some shit called a reservation.
Okay.
During the Trail of Tears is when they was killing off the potential elders that they were allowed, or that they was able to locate, identify, and execute, and to separate the families and then replace us with $5 Indians. Right,
exactly.
That's what the Trail of Tears was for.
Okay, yeah. That's clear. That's clear now. But because the biggest irk in my stomach is when I just put together the timeline. Because being born in the 90s, you know, the 80s was the hip hop generation, which was the same generation where they flooded crack. 90s was the hypnotized generation, and we didn't really know what the fuck was going on. We were living the system. You feel me? The 90s,
right? Baby. By this time, we reeling from the results of the crack epidemic, with grandparents raising grandkids now because the parent was strung out on drugs, right? So the timeline worked like this. If you want to know the timeline, Larry got locked up in 69. Jeff got locked up 70 something. Mm-hmm. Tukey got locked up in the 70s. Crack didn't hit LA because it hit LA first until 78. They was doing something called freebase before that. Right. But George Herbert Walker Bush was using the oil rigs because they weren't subject to customs to bring tons of cocaine from Colombia, Bolivia, and Venezuela. Right? So he was bringing it in under the pretense of being oil. So in order to pack an oil ship with cocaine, which one of them has got to be making the most money? So they was using the money.
Cocaine was making more than oil at the time?
Yes.
Damn.
Yes.
Damn.
Oil was $50 a barrel. Cocaine was coming from Colombia at like $200 a key in bulk. 200 a key of cocaine. You can fit about 50 keys of cocaine in the 50-gallon barrel of oil, or oil barrel. So you see the difference in the price.
Yeah.
The $50 barrel of oil can hold $50,000 worth of cocaine. $50 versus 50,000. Who making the most money?
Damn. Yeah.
So they were using it to fund what they call CIA Black Ops programs.
Right.
One of the Black Ops programs that they were funding was Counterintelligence Program Operations, COINTELPRO. If you create something called a drug enforcement agency, what are you enforcing? What you enforcing?
Tell me, God, I'm listening. Tell me, please.
You got to be a drug enforcer. Your agency said right in the name.
Okay. Okay.
You an enforcer for drug trade. And the DEA is a subsection of CIA. DEA used to be above top secret clearance until they started running into FBI agents tracking the cocaine. That's how we even discovered the DEA exists. When they declared the war on drugs, how can you declare a war on drugs and you bringing it? It was a code. It was a war on us.
Damn. Damn.
So they charging. Now Larry never seen the streets in the whole crack era. He never, Larry, Jeff, or Tukey never seen the streets during the crack era. They were all locked up. All of the leaders across the land was in prison when crack hit us. We didn't know what to do.
Because Jimi Hendrix was one of the chiefs too, and he was dead at that time, right?
Yeah, Jimi Hendrix died in like 72. They poisoned him. They gave him a hot shot of heroin. He was using the music to influence their children that they didn't want influenced by us. They held Jimi Hendrix in such high regard, they still got rock and roll to this day called heavy metal. Psychedelic rock.
Yeah.
You know, all that is spin-offs of Hendrix music.
Damn. The timeline is impeccable, bro. Like it's like they had that shit planned out for hundreds of years before it even happened.
Well, you got to remember, Garvey was infiltrated by somebody that looked like us. Garvey was in the 20s. They didn't have a CIA or FBI yet. They had something called the SAS. Right? And the SAS star pupil was J. Edgar Hoover, who was the actual founder of the FBI.
I got a question, God. Because I was quick to find out that supercomputers that they have, right? Supercomputers have a cryogenic core. And I found out that supercomputers are literally people frozen in cryostasis, and they're using their cells as servers for corporations and different things like that. Is that what they did to Tukey?
No, they just put him in a cryo chamber in Area 51.
Okay.
And Okay, so Arnold Schwarzenegger didn't believe in the death penalty, and him and Tookie was also a personal friend of his. Most people don't know that.
Okay.
Um, when when Arnold Schwarzenegger got to California, he wanted to know who was the guy out there that he needed to know, and everybody said you need to know Tookie, right? So when he met Tookie, he met him on Venice Beach and challenged Tookie to a pose down.
What down?
A pose down, weightlifters, bodybuilders, a pose down.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Because Tukey was a weightlifter. That makes sense. Yeah.
Right. This was before Tookie was on the Gong Show.
Okay,
Right.
continue.
And that's when they established what you call a mutual respect. So California, for national security purposes, the governor of California have discretions that other governors in the union don't have. So for national security purposes, he decided not to execute Tookie, but instead put him in cryostasis because the technology is viable to bring him back out of it and he not be gone. Right? Because he knew that Tookie was one of the chiefs on the land. Right? So the science get flipped to you through the movies. When he was Mr. Freeze in Batman. Right? If you see him, he's sitting in the chair with the cigar, just like Suge Knight on Death Row sitting in the chair with the cigar. Same pose. So they using the music and the entertainment in order to tell us what Tookie need done and what's going on with Tookie. Lethal Injection, Ice Cube, Man on Ice, Soul on Ice, Eldridge Cleaver. Right? The Soul on Ice become a Soul on Fire. A Creasy Bear, it's a bear flip. The bear is Sugar Bear. Sugar Bear is Suge Knight. Suge Knight clicked up with the Black Panther. The Black Panther was T'Challa. T'Challa called for the Gorilla Clan for assistance. The Gorilla Clan chief didn't want nothing to do with it. Right? Until he seen that shit was real. So then now T'Challa get the help from the Gorilla Clan. Tupac get a knock. He did it at an elementary school. Back to basics. We gonna need guerrilla tactics. Machiavelli, a knock from the Prince to Niccolo Machiavelli to a knockback on a comparative analysis.
So now you're speaking of the East Coast, West Coast beef right now, right?
Right. I'm going into that because Biggie was sitting bull. That means he got to take the punishment but don't say nothing. He got to take the verbal abuse in order for the science to bounce off him and he to show that he don't got nothing to do with it for real. So when you read the FBI files, you're going to find JDL in all of the FBI files, calling them and extorting them. And then Biggie gave the skit where you get the phone call and they was like, "You dead, motherfucker, you dead." And he was like, straight up, dude. You remember that skit?
Slightly, yeah.
And he was like, you soft, dude. This is what they was doing. They did the same thing to Michael Jackson. But who are these people?
From my information, isn't it true that the real Michael Jackson actually died in the 80s and they buried him at his park?
No.
Okay.
Michael Jackson got set on fire and he was burnt up. That's why he kept having plastic surgery after plastic surgery.
Right.
Those was reconstructive surgeries from being burnt up.
From my sources, I had that after that happened, after he got set on fire, he actually did die. And then they actually buried him at his park. And then some kid and his dog at the park they had this video about how some kid and his dog, the dog was digging up something at the park and they ended up finding Michael Jackson's body or his black body.
I don't know nothing about that.
Okay, it might have been some what do they call it, conspiracy bullshit, but you know how that go.
Yeah, I
Everything
know
with
he
a grain
did
of
get
salt.
burnt up on the Pepsi set, and he needed a whole bunch of plastic surgeries.
Yeah, the background for the plastic surgery is that they used that one kid that Michael Jackson was training. They used
David David.
him. Yeah, they used him as the new Michael Jackson, and they were giving him plastic surgery to look like Michael Jackson. But then it went south, and then it just became, you know. But that's
Well,
like I said, that's like
that's that's not exactly what happened. David David is Michael Jackson's identity with no makeup on.
okay.
The kid that they were talking about was David David is not the same adult that was on Larry King.
Okay.
If you watch the Larry King interview, don't look at the screen and just listen. You're gonna hear Michael Jackson talking every time David David started talking.
Okay. Okay.
They tried to kill Mike.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Plenty of
Yeah.
time. Plenty of
Do
time.
you know? Do you know who his security was?
Suge Knight, wasn't it?
Nope.
Who?
Nation of Islam.
Oh wow, wow. Okay, okay, okay. That makes a lot of sense because they're pretty militarily adequate for that.
Mm-hmm. When what's that guy name? Uh, the old Jew that was working with Easy E. You remember Jerry Heller? Jerry Heller was stealing Easy E money, and he discovered it. Who did he call in for security?
I'm assuming Nation of Islam.
Nation of Islam.
Okay.
When Ice Cube left and went to New York and did that album with Chuck D, who did he make connections with?
Nation of Islam.
Nation of Islam.
Okay.
Um, when Suge Knight was at the awards, the only person that could tell him what to do was Mustafa Muhammad. Why he ain't give him no problem? It's Nation of Islam. It's only one group of people on the land that can get into every community and communicate with us on every level.
And
The
that's the
only
nation.
tribe that can rival the nation of, I mean, the growth and development nation is the Nation of Islam in sheer numbers.
Hmm.
They're the best organized on the land, most educated, and most ready for the shift.
Hmm.
It goes deeper. When Tupac was in the hospital, who was in security?
Nation of Islam.
Nation of Islam. Both times. So the wise man is what a wise man does. If a man does wise things, he becomes recognized as a wise man. And Farrakhan is a wise man because he made some wise moves.
Hmm.
He knew who he was up against. A few of you in a few smoke-filled rooms, calling yourself the mainstream while the masses of poor, black, white, red, and brown are suffering, right? Remember? And it was on a Tupac album.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Picture perfect. I paint a perfect picture.
Is the Nation of Islam? Are they sovereign?
So, it ain't about skin color. It ain't about religious preference. It's not about political preference. It's about your. So, I'm sitting out here in the sun, getting some getting some solar rays, do some invites. This not really a video with a particular topic. I'm just out here hanging out with my canines in the backyard, my real dogs, my closest road dogs.
They go where I go. They do what I do. They watch my back. People think that they don't automatically just start eating people that they friendly. Yeah. Well, the thing about dogs is they friendly until you cross the motherfucker that they bonded with. That's loyalty. As long as you don't bother they people, they ain't gonna bother you. You know, they love their human. So I'm gonna go in here. Maybe I don't know. Maybe just talk a little dog breeds or something that don't got nothing to do with nothing in reality, just to get the energy flowing through the body and the sun. You know. So I'm gonna run through these invites. I ain't in no hurry to get done with them today. I got a little charge on my phone, and I don't plan on being on here a really, really long time anyway. But if y'all have any questions on any topic while I'm talking, just shoot that question at me. Your preacher couldn't answer it. Your priest couldn't answer it. Or your imam couldn't answer it. You know, if I can't answer it, I can tell you who can. That's crazy. But and other than that, I'll be focused on me and my dogs. You know, because some people don't realize the real eyes see the real lies. And that's just the way it is. So, a little short video to introduce my dogs to the world. We be doing some traveling soon, I guess. Relocating or something. Yeah. Got this snake pit. All these people in the snake pit. How y'all doing? And so, I'm out here just seeing what it's like out in the sun. You see my watcher over there in the corner? You see her back there? That's onyx, black onyx. Now, let's talk about onyx. What is an onyx? An onyx is a particular type of stone. Everybody know about indigo child, but don't nobody know what an onyx child is. I'm an onyx child. Tupac an onyx child. Biggie was an onyx child. Still is. Um, we were born one generation before what we overlap actually, but it started the generation before your indigo children. And the onyx stone got special powers in that the onyx stone can heal and protect. So that's onyx, black onyx right there, sitting over my right shoulder.